Hello, everybody. This is Siobhan and the Noob Avenger Elton, and this is the UN podcast. I am trying to figure out how my glorious internet, as soon as I go on StreamYards, it drops down to one little dot. And then as soon as we're done, it works perfectly fine. I'm also was updating something, so maybe I'll pause it. All right.
Too much bandwidth.
No, dude. And speaking of bandwidth.
You guys hear me?
Yeah. We're live. Oh, and as soon as Ricky showed up, my internet got better.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr. Magic Man. Oh yeah, Mr. Magic Man right there. Yeah.
What happened? Internet problems?
No. All right. So apparently, what I heard was that if you have a ad blocker on your your computer, when you go on YouTube, it starts to act weird. It's like it's trying to. I guess I don't know. It says your computer starts acting weird or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean StreamYard's kind of weird too. Kind of messes up with your stuff.
Yeah. So, but I've heard plenty of complaints about StreamYards.
This stream not sponsored by StreamYard.
Well, the thing about it though is, yes, there is a way that you can stream your stuff and set it up and all that stuff. But I would have to fully explain to both of you how to actually use OBS and the various means to do that. And I think that's part of the StreamYard's hook is that it's just kind of easy to do this. And it's probably why they raised the price. They got brought out by some corporate folks, so that's why they raised the price. But that's a whole nother thing. All right, well, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was there's an AI startup for animation that just got a lot of money, but I wanted to bring up probably something that has a lot to do with that. And this is a story, and both of these are on Cartoon Brew. All right, to the top of this. So there was like a festival. I think it's in France or something like that. In my screen. All right. So there's Annecy. I guess it's like a French thing. The winding chasm between student hopes and industry reality. And it's like the disconnect between educational marketing and employment reality has created an industry, what industry observers describe as an academic industrial complex. Universities promote animation programs using imagery of Pixar campuses, DreamWorks success stories, whilst carefully avoiding the discussion of actual employment statistics. Students accumulate debt pursuing dreams that statistical analysis suggests are increasingly unlikely to materialize. All right. Essentially, I saw someone talking about this. It was you have a 3 in 100 chance of getting a job.
Those aren't very good odds. Well,
no. And it kind of leads, and the reason why I brought that up is because it leads into the next thing that I was looking at. But as some anecdotal type stuff, when I was doing, I'm going to tell you guys about me doing computer animation like a long time ago. It's like when I was living in Minnesota, and it was similar to this, where they promise you a you get take out your student loans or whatever, and what the hell? You take out your student, you get student loans and whatnot, and they'll show you how to do computer animation. I think Ricky's possessed.
Blink if you need help.
Yeah, are you being abducted by aliens?
What are you talking about?
You just started making all kind of weird noises.
I've been quiet.
No, well, you may not have been saying anything, but something going on over there, like a buzzing or something,
like a fan or
I think it's my fan. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Well,
you could have been being abducted by aliens. I don't know.
I mean, be blissfully unaware.
Yeah. There's no like you don't got a camera up, so you don't know what's going on. You could be doing all kind of stuff. Huh.
You're
Well,
good.
anyway, I get back to my story. It was the same kind of thing. It was like there was, oh, we'll show you how to do this and show you how to do that. And but when it comes to asking, well, how many jobs have you gotten for people? They were kind of vague on that. This was 15 years ago, 15, 16. So I can't imagine that it's gotten like any better. But it kind of reminds me of just university stuff in general. It's like we're coming into this AI thing and they're still accepting all of these people into all of these programs that are going to be like really hit by AI. And I wonder how much are they actually telling these kids that?
they want the money. That's why.
Right.
It reminded me of the government program they had before, the or initiative. What was that? Like the learn to code thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I think it got so saturated, or I don't know exactly, why it wasn't very successful when it came to like the reality or practicality of it.
Well, like for me, I would probably be like, all right, when I first went to college, I wanted to be an engineer, right? So I'm like, okay, I want to be an engineer. Dad was happy about that. I want to be an engineer. So I'm sitting in the first couple of classes and then talking about it, and I realized I didn't want to be I didn't fully understand what an engineer did. Right. What I thought, because I'm a creative person, so you design cars or whatever, you design this, you design that. An engineer really doesn't do that, like especially like with cars. Somebody else designs the car. The engineer is the dude who figures out how to actually make it function, like work. So he comes with all the math, and it's like a compromise to eventually you get like something to sell. But the person who initially designs the car is somebody else. So, and that's when you see those concept drawings and they're like crazy, like, with swoops and this, that, and the other. The engineer gets that and like, all right, well, that's not going to work. And this is not aerodynamic and yada, yada, yada. Right. I realized after a couple of classes that I didn't want to be the engineer part is not what I wanted. So maybe it's the same thing. It's like you want coding sounds cool because you see it in movies and you get the hacker and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And the reality of that probably is something different. Where it's like super boring and you just kind of tapping away and it's not exciting.
Yeah, that's true.
Because a lot of people can draw, but that don't necessarily mean you'll be a good animator or you'll be like you can actually make that as a job because you can be a cog in the wheel, I guess, but you still have to be really, really good. So there's a difference between being really, really good and it being your calling as versus you just like drawing.
Is it expensive those schools for animation?
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Not
much you
this.
talking about? Like 50 grand more?
I don't know what it is now. I think I saw someone talking about it, like could be like 35. It depends on which school you go to.
Which is like the more known school about animation?
CalArts is the one in California.
Oh, CalArts.
Yeah, so all those Steven versus the Universe and all them weird like they got the bean mouth. It's a certain look on all these like newer cartoons.
Uh-huh.
That's CalArts style. Or so CalArts is
CalArts.
so basically Walt Disney didn't have enough animators, if I remember the story correctly. He didn't have enough animators, so he created a school to so that he can get more. And that's what's CalArts. So if I would have stayed in California when I was like younger, I probably would have tried again. Like if I would have to convince my dad about this, but that's the school I probably would have wound up trying to go to. because it was tied with Disney and all that stuff. So, like the next thing that tied into the first thing is this. All right, you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so AI animation startup Animaj raises 85 million in new funding round. So this is probably part of the other reason why there's so few jobs in animation. So yeah, scary in the world animation industry, but many fail to recognize that is a broad umbrella term for multiple tools, pipelines, production approaches, yada yada yada. Among the most innovative entrants into animation is Animaj, a company out of Paris and London, that announced today it's closed a new funding round of 85 million, and its latest investment. Da 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 da. So I guess these guys. All right. The new funding will support the company's growth and goal of transforming children's IP into global multi-format franchises throughout a hybrid model combining AI-powered production with platform-native content development. So I guess it's this. Okay. All right, so you understand what's going on here?
That's pretty cool. He was doing like some gangster moves.
No, but all right, but I'll break it down for you what's actually happening. Okay, so like this little bit right here, all right. All right. So when you say my interpolation, that means that you are creating poses as the animator. You're creating poses to put the character in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I was telling. I don't know. I'm telling which one of y'all about this. So basically, this is one pose. This is another pose. Okay. So you can tell so what the computer is going to do is going to just take this pose and go directly into that pose. But to get it to flow better, you actually have to add all these in betweens for that. Okay. So on a traditional 2D animation thing, a person will draw the key poses. That's the this, that thing, right? So he would hand it off to a bunch of other artists and they would draw all the stuff in the middle. So make it flow to each pose. So basically they're like copying what he did, but in different poses. All right.
That's so
So
like really time consuming. I know like when they did like old movies like that, oof,
Mhm.
gosh, it took a while just to like animate, one scene or movement.
Right. So it's what it looks like, because you would normally do this yourself. So you can do it yourself, and like animators would get like sections of the film. So you would get like a few scenes because it would take so long to actually animate it correctly so that it flows correctly. But it looks like what this company is going to do is you just do the thing like the like the key poses. All right. So let me go back to it so I can find it. All right. So you just do the key poses. All right. And I think I was when it's rendering it. All right. All right. So this is right here. What it's doing, it's adding all the poses in between of you just doing all the block spots. That's why this looks really clunky. All right. So this looks clunky because you haven't added all the in betweens. All right. So it's kind of clunky. The reason why it's clunky is because you haven't added all the in betweens yet. So it looks like what this company is going to do is the AI is going to do that for you and get it to flow better. So that actually will allow you to animate things quicker. So that means it becomes cheaper because you're not taking them much time. So once you finish that part, and then it just renders it out, and that's just the computer figuring how to move all the dots from one thing, like all the little pixels and stuff in your scene, and rendering the lighting and all. That's what takes a long ass time, and it's part of the reason why the special effects in Marvel movies look like crap, because it takes it takes a ridiculous amount of time to render these scenes. So if you want it to look photorealistic, you're talking about animating the characters, animating all the background stuff from the trees, the birds, the dust, the wind, all the particles in the background. Then you got to do the lighting. So all the lighting it is all the shadows, because it's not just shadows. It's not just light shining down. It is shadows. It is the color of your shirt reflecting off the ground under you. You may not notice it, but it's something that's there. So like if you have a red shirt on and you're sitting on a bench, you may, like, if you look really close, there'd be like a faint little bit of red there. So the computer has to figure all that shit out, and then it has to move everything in real time. So that takes forever. So typically you need a long time to do that. But if you keep changing the scenes, that means they have to go back and keep re-rendering that. You got to change stuff. It means, and if you change, say you want the Hulk to jump a little higher than in this scene than the next one, and you decide that you really want him to do that, then somebody has to animate the Hulk jumping. You have to redo all the lighting and all that stuff. So what the AI looks like is probably going to be able to do is do that shit for you. So all those extra jobs, because there used to be extra jobs, it'd be like a bunch, because you would need a whole lot of people to do this. But if the AI can figure this out in the computer, then yeah, those are a bunch of jobs that are going to go away. Then you throw on top of that, a lot of this stuff is animated in Korea, Canada, and like in like Thailand and like those kind of countries.
Yeah.
So they pay 1/3. So you'll get, so for the price of one person who lives in California, you can get like 4 people to animate stuff. So this is the reality of that. So that's why I brought up that first article, is because they're cranking all these people out. I'm like, bro, unless you're gonna go live in friggin' Korea or Canada or something like that, you're not gonna be able to find a job. And that is gonna make it worse. And they just got $85 million because it's like that. And the background stuff for Star Wars, I forgot what they call that damn shit, but they use it on the Mandalorian, and they've been using it a lot in other stuff, where they can just create a scene in the background and just like have it set up. Yeah, that is going to decimate that. So
you don't have to build a set and all that shit no more.
No, you still do, at least for now. But the biggest hurdle is gonna get rid of all the little minutia stuff. So that's why, like, I showed you the little trailer, how the person just blocked it out, because it's quicker to do that, because then you can do all your. So you start with your big key poses and you make them walk, and that's why when it walked, it looked like Frankenstein walking. Because you haven't added all the stuff to make it look like realistically how you flow, how your clothing flows, all that stuff. So that takes a while. It takes a while to do. So if you got an AI that can actually do all of that shit, that means that you do not need the size of the animation studio that Pixar and all these places have. So you don't really need that. So all you need is a storybook, like a few artists, a few animators to do all the key things, and then the computer would do everything else. So that means that if I I got a bunch of stories that I want to work on, that means that at some point I will be able to do that with very few people. So it just is kind of crazy where we're headed to, and they're just cranking these people out of these schools, and they get out like where are the jobs? Like, because they're going away. It sucks, but that's what's happening.
It's the reality.
Yeah, dude. And you look at these like tech dudes, like they're looking at it from creating all right. The way I guess the best way I could put it is like Jurassic Park and the when they're sitting at the table and the guy is talking about all this the dinosaurs and all this other stuff and all this shit and what's the dude's name? The guy in all black. He was in the Fly. See, I hate being old. Damn it.
What, Jurassic Park?
Right. So yeah, Ian. He played the guy Ian. What was his name again? He was the
Shit,
Fly.
I forgot the
Independence
actor.
Day. Yeah. Well, he says it. Basically, what he tells them is, you've been working so hard on whether, like, if you could, you never stop to think about me if you should. So when you look at the people who create all this technology, they're not actually thinking about the ramifications of that for everybody else. They're just kind of feel, oh, this is cool, and we get the AI to do this, and I'm like, okay, well, AI just kind of, it doesn't really create anything. It just cobbles a bunch of stuff together. I don't know, maybe some point in next 20 years, it will actually be able to create stuff, but now it doesn't. But it's like where it is, most of your normal people won't care about that. They just want to be entertained. So just like everything else when we're dealing with AI, it's kind of like, interesting how this is going to work itself out.
Put everything together and hope for the best.
Dude, I mean, like the fact that if what I saw is what they're offering, yeah, that's really interesting, because it'll get rid of all the little stuff in the middle. I don't know if it will help you be able to adjust things more so quicker on the fly, because that's the biggest problems with a lot of these things, and that's why their budgets balloon so much, is because they keep changing their mind about stuff all the time. Whereas that's why Dune didn't cost nearly as much, because they storyboarded everything and they stuck to that. So when they did the special effects, if you storyboard everything and you break down the story and you make it as tight as possible and you are dedicated to just doing that, you can actually start the special effects as you're filming it. Because then any changes will be minute. Like you can't get a shot because of the climate is bad or something, so you got to go from outdoors to indoors, so that will affect the lighting, but it won't be like this huge thing. And that is a lot.
That's why Marvel sucks on them. They always reshooting stuff.
Yeah, if you look at you could pretty much tell in a Captain America 4 movie where their reshots were at, because the special effects look absolutely horrible.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, so
dude,
honestly, I would have watched that. I would not even notice.
Well, I mean, I went to school for it, so I noticed. It's usually the lighting. It is very hard. It is very hard to do realistic lighting. You can do lighting, but no, I'm not. Scratch that. It is hard to do a mix of real lighting and inside the computer lighting. This is a little different. So because in the computer you have to create everything from scratch, and you have to match the lighting from the scene. So even if they're filming on a green screen, they're still being lit by lights, like real lights. So you get like maybe one day when they were doing it, the lighting was a little dirty and they didn't notice. So it's a little too yellow, it's a little too this, it's a little too that, and you got to match it when you go with the computer. When you put everything in the background, you have to match it. So then you wind up with like all the shots look like this, and then all of a sudden you get a bunch of shots where it's a little off, and these things that you won't really notice on a conscious level, but you'll notice on a subconscious level, because it just won't look right.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, I see that in some movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like once you notice it, then it's like, what the hell? Like something. Yeah, it's like you know what's wrong, but it's like something. It's part of the reason why Pixar didn't want to do realistic human characters for a long time, because the animation studios like to do animals, because with a human, you know how humans are supposed to move. So when you see one not moving correctly, it'll throw you off. You won't know exactly what the problem is, but it will throw you off. And it's kind of how this works. So there's a little 2 cents of animation there. So it would be good for someone who's like me, on more on the story side. It means you'll be able to like create a lot with way less people. And this is just the beginning of all this stuff. So where it's going to be in 10 years, maybe it'll be able to animate the whole damn thing, and you just plug the script in on one end and it scans the script and it figures out what it is that you are. If you're like descriptive enough, it'll probably figure out like what you want to do. It's like I want to remember that AI thing I was showing you guys, the one that's attached to the Chinese deep seek.
Oh
The
yeah.
one the moves.
Yeah, the one and I
Yeah.
took a picture and it animated it. There's one of them where I didn't really tell it to do that. I just told it like the vibe I wanted, but in the background it's raining. So it made it rain in the picture, and then in the foreground there's a record player. So it's playing the record. So it animated the record spinning and rain coming down on the window. And I didn't really tell it to do that. It just analyzed the picture and assumed from my prompt kind of what I wanted. So it's like this creative stuff is gonna get rough, like real quick.
It is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it's cool and not, and depending on your point of view, it's cool and not cool at the same time. All right. The next topic is apparently they're not content with screwing up all like the later versions of Star Trek. They want to go into the original series. So they want to fully kill Star Trek. So the producers of Strange New Worlds, all right? Star Trek could go, if they get their way, could boldly go where no fan wants it, rebooting and effectively replacing the original series. Kiva Goldsmith and Henry Alonzo Mayers, also the already controversial figures in the Kurtzman-led Paramount era, are now teasing what sounds like a remake of Star Trek, the original series. While rumors suggest a full reboot may happen once the Skydance merger goes through, Goldsman and Myers appear to be all in on a new take that could override the iconic show created by Gene Roddenberry. All right, so this is on the Strange New World. All right, so this is Spock. This is Captain Kirk. They've already recasted them. He is a how to put this? The way they treat him is like he's an idiot, and like he's it is really bad. He is about as far from the actual Captain Kirk as you can get. More than likely, he is probably I don't know who this dude plays in the show, but you're not gonna get 3 white people as Kirk, Spock, and Bones. That's just not gonna happen. Source Trek, blah, blah, blah. And we made a promise to ourselves that we would arc the show into Star Trek, the original series. And so you saw the thought, well, a 5-year mission, okay. Can we do 5 years? We're really doing almost 5. Well, 4 and a little more than half. Season 5 is set for 6 episodes instead of the usual 10. And we needed to be able to tell that story. These are questions we knew we needed to answer, promises to answer. So that's our 5-year plan. And then we run into the original series, and they're not dying, and we have those sets. Yeah, these idiots who've already just like destroyed the Star. Like they're just like Kennedy. They have completely destroyed Star Trek, and they're completely oblivious to the fact that they've done that.
Star Trek is with Disney.
No. This is Paramount.
Oh, okay.
Paramount.
All
Oh my
right. So
gosh.
basically, what happened was, because of J.J. Abrams, he made the Kelvin timeline. So essentially, something happened in the past that can cause a slight diversion. So that's why you have his version of Star Trek, and they were separate. And then Paramount bought CB. Even though it's the same company, they were acting as separate companies, and they merged in the same company. So the original Star Trek was like available to them, and they started poking into that. So it's weird to figure out where their stuff starts and their stuff stops. So I don't know if this is going to be like the Kelvin universe version of the original series or not. I don't know which one this is actually going to be. Or are they going to actually try to cover over the original series? No, because you got to think about it from their point of view. Kirk was misogynistic. And it's going to be like a bunch of crap, right?
That's not going to fly.
Dude, they've already just completely just like, did you know that the Strange New Worlds was on its fifth season?
No.
So nobody gives a crap because they have completely destroyed it. The only series that anybody in any of the original Star Trek fans enjoyed was Picard season 3, and these idiots had nothing to do with that. And when they had a hit on their hands and a happy fan base, what did they decide to do instead of like? Because at the end of Picard, they set up an entirely new show with some returning characters, original characters, all tied into the Next Generation universe, but without actually having to have them. And you can have them pop in because they're all still alive and existing in that world. So you had their kids. It was their kids plus some other stuff. People were loving it and they were looking forward to it. And they decided to go, no, we're going to do Star Trek Academy instead. So this thing that all y'all like, we're not going to do that.
It's really like the reboot that no one asked for.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like nobody wants you. Nobody wants you idiots to touch this, because who knows what you're gonna make? Because you already made. You already gave Spock a sister that he never seemed to have talked about. That was smarter and better than him at everything, even though she was human. Right. Somehow, the sister that he never talked about is just the most amazing thing. Who just is better. She does all like, and even when she messes up, she doesn't get any trouble for it. She got her captain killed.
Please make it make sense.
Bro, I don't know how can you be this oblivious when it comes to this kind of stuff? Like, dude, you're clearly fucking up. You're the one burning the cake, and nobody wants your burnt cake, but you keep making cakes that you burn.
So they're trying to make another movie of this?
No, it looked like they were hinting at, well, we got all these sets. We already have our own Kirk and Spock. All we need to do is get a Bones, and then the Uhura is on the Uhura is already on Strange New World. So they have Uhura, they have Kirk, they have Spock. I think all they need is Bones, and they introduced Scotty, so Scotty's there too. So they have all the characters. They've recasted all the characters, so they can actually do the show with the people that they have. You don't have to change the sets, and that's what they're talking about. Because he's flying around on the Enterprise, so you got the Enterprise already. So you already got the Enterprise. You got all the main characters except for Bones, I think. Like they have the cast. They could actually do the show. It's going to be terrible because they're terrible writers, but they can do it.
But they don't care.
No, they don't care, dude.
Let's just like kill let's just make the product dead.
Bro, I one of the articles that I linked to you guys was there is a like the Halo game, and there's a feature in Halo where you can make your own, like they call it the Forge, and you can create your own like maps. So create your own maps, put your own stuff in, and make it cool, right? This was like this has been around since the first second Halo. The most famous of the people who make stuff for the Forge is calling it quits because the people who are in charge of Halo right now don't support them. They're not interested in the community. They just want to push their nonsense by making Juneteenth outfits for Master Chief, gay pride outfits for Master Chief, various woke stuff for Master Chief, to where this game has not been talked about to almost any degree for years because they completely destroyed it.
But they don't care.
They don't care because they don't care about making a profit. They just want to tell their bit. And this is true in movies, television shows, everything.
I mean, they live in the fantasy world.
Yeah, which these corporations, for some reason, are allowing them to do so, even while it's killing their IPs left and right.
Maybe they got an agenda.
Yeah, the agenda is to change society, but that ain't working. Because what happened?
How like the companies, it's amazing how the companies are, like letting their products die and rot, and they don't really seem to care.
No, dude, I have no idea what it is. It's like to get back to the animation thing. When Nickelodeon is on its last legs, Cartoon Network is on its last legs. Like all these cartoon based things, the companies who own them just don't care. Even though anime is huge, it's like ridiculously huge. So people still want that stuff. They just, because you're not offering it to them, they're going to the Japanese to get it. Japanese and some Korean to get these things. So your customer base is still there. You're just not giving them to them for just because reasons. I don't know. Maybe because there's too many white dudes in it. I don't know what it is. It's the weirdest. It's the weirdest thing. It's like Pixar has a new movie that just came out. It flopped.
Oh, is that the
One with the aliens.
Elio?
Right.
I saw a trailer for it. I forgot that it came out.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not terrible, but if you look at it from a animator's perspective, it's absolutely it's done horrible. There's certain things that I would have to like really explain to you guys to get you to see what I'm talking about. But it's like Disney completely forgot how to do Disney. There are books, and I've showed you the books that they tell you how to make animations. Like they figured it out to be charming and how you get beloved characters and all that stuff. So there's a certain way you do stuff that get people drawn in, that kind of thing, right? None of that is in existence in the last two Disney projects. The one for Pixar and the one like So Wish. And this both suffer from the same thing. It's just like how their composition is just off and terrible. It's one of those things where you wouldn't notice, but you'll notice something is not right, but you won't know what it is that's not right.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. I mean, I could probably explain it to you, but it'll take a while. No, they figured out from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, all that stuff, how to present things to an audience that they will like and will make it so that it sticks around in their head. So like you remember it. It's just how things are placed. It makes your eye. It doesn't make it makes you move around the screen when you look at it. There's something that fills up the screen. It's not there's not empty spaces. And the way that this thing is, there's all kind of empty spaces. It is a fundamentally flawed film that to a novice will just it's kind of cool. It just won't, they won't it won't stick with you. So he's like, it's one of those things, like, you know, like a movie you'll see and you 2 weeks later you can't remember a lot of it, right? Unless it's like
like that.
really, really bad. No, unless it's really bad, then you remember that. But in
Yeah,
terms of like, you know, it's it is
very forgettable.
right. Yeah, it's just there's a certain way of how you do stuff. And if you don't know how to do that, and the biggest problem is that the people who knew how to do that were the white dudes. They got rid of all the white dudes because they knew better. Now they can't make a movie to save their life because the whole point of how Disney worked is that information was passed along from each generation of animators to the next. So you got a job. They showed you how we do it at Disney, and they show you all the tricks and all the insides and all the stuff. They give you all the books because there's plenty of books that tells you how to do these things. They wrote it all down, but you got to actually listen to them. And if you're fighting the patriarchy and all white people are bad and all that stuff, you're not actually going to listen to the white dude who is trying to give you information on how to make movies that are memorable. You're just going to do it on your own, and since you don't know how to do it, you
Like,
make
a lot
stuff.
of crap.
Yeah. So yeah, you make
Basically, you're like a apprentice and shit. Start learning from the experienced people.
yeah, which is basically every job. Imagine, all right, so just to take it to construction, you're just out of school as I don't know a welder, right? You know how to do the basics, but you don't know how to do what you need to do to actually weld properly until you get a job. And the dude who's been doing it for 20 years shows you how to actually weld, how to real world weld. When you're trying to do this shit with the winds blowing on the back of the thing and you got to move and there's a lot of stuff so you can figure out how. So imagine you're not listening to that dude at all and you're just going to do basic shit. That it's not going to look right because you don't know all the ins and outs of actually how to do this. And that is Disney right now and Pixar in a nutshell. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. I'm like, okay. And then your movie's gonna look like ass, and they do.
So true though.
Yeah, dude. I was listening to the Moana soundtrack like at lunch because I was reading the book for break. So I have it on in the background, right? Is Lin Manuel that dude they decided to have do everything? No, it sounds fine, but it sounds like it's missing something. So it sounds like a generic Disney soundtrack. Like, yeah, this sounds fine, but it's not memorable. It's like, yeah, there's a little something. Something's missing that he probably would have learned if he would have actually listened to the old white dude who just so happens to be that's the guy that was there. They probably had other people of other colors, but the ones who the leads of all this stuff, regardless of how that happened, they have information to pass along, and you gotta actually listen. So, I don't know. You want to hear some insights from Kennedy on the world of Star Wars?
Can't wait.
All right, see if I can find this article. Well, there's two things. Like, apparently, the Rey movie is on hold. Aren't you excited?
I thought they already canceled this stuff.
No, it's on hold. All right, so it's a scooper. The Rey movie's on hold once again, both as Sean Levy and James Mangold's Star Wars films are moving forward first. The project is not canceled, just temporarily on hold. I'm not sure what that means.
All right.
VHS reports suggest that Kimber trilogy might have an impact on New World Order. Rey, the Scavenger turned Jedi, played by Daisy Ridley in the last three episodic movies, is key to the franchise's next return. That potentially puts Kinberg's trilogy story in development as early as in its conceptual stages as it may be. on a collision course with the Ray standalone movie that is actively in the works with director Charmine. I'm not trying to say that. Ready dress to return. Da, 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 da. Okay, oh shit. Okay, so let's talk about when she went to the celebration on the stories from one film. That's not to say that's all it is, but that's what I was told about. I can imagine it will be the next film, I think. I mean, again, I don't know post strike and everything, how quickly everything gets started up again. But yes, so far I know the story of one film, and I think people will be very excited. You are incorrect there, lady. People are not excited. Do you think this movie is gonna come out?
No, I doubt it. Cause nobody wants to see it.
Yeah, but do you really think Kathleen Kennedy cares?
I think that if they do another Star Wars movie, it might not be her, but she might show up in the movie.
Okay, like they might be doing something completely
Like
different,
the
but it's like
Mandalorian or something, and
oh
then she'll
hey,
come out.
she's here.
Yeah, she'll like pop out or whatever.
I don't know. All right. So just sticking with the Star Wars, she says Star Wars is now focused on standalone stories. So this is where it gets a little confusing. Like you, on one hand, you're talking about a trilogy. On the other hand, you are okay. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy recently offered fascinating insights into the future direction of the Star Wars saga, speaking at last week's screening of the 1977 print of Star Wars in London. Now, keep in mind, George Lucas did not want the original Star Wars to be ever shown again. All right, never. He never wanted that. So this is another stick in the eye for George Lucas.
What do you mean shown again? Like
You to never see it ever,
oh,
ever,
yeah.
ever. Because he was not finished when he made it. The special edition is what he wanted you to see, but he couldn't do it. And when he got the means to actually do it, so he got to change his vision. So this is what he actually wanted you to see. So therefore, the original one is incomplete, even though a lot of people prefer it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't. And that particular aspect, he didn't really care. All right. Kennedy told the audience, I really think now we are in a position where it's broadened the possibility of stories and filmmakers we can bring in to tell stories that mean something to them. It doesn't necessarily have to connect to every little thing that has been done in Star Wars. It can actually be a standalone story that builds into many, many other stories. All right, so instead of trying to recreate the magic of the original trilogy, this is just a strategic shift at Lucasfilm. That's now focused more on standalone narratives that aren't strictly beholden to every past continuity. Ugh, man, I said that terribly. Detail potentially opening the door for greater creative freedom and diverse storytelling. Now, the news confirmed that she will remain in London for the commencement filming of the Star Wars Starfighter, which is set to begin shooting in September.
I see.
Yeah. Well, like we already had that. That's called the extended universe. The one that you keep ignoring, but you keep digging stories out of. They had a whole bunch of standalone stuff that had nothing to do with Han, Luke, or Leia. From the bounty hunters to like whatever. They had older Jedi. They had Jedi in the future, Jedi in the past. None of that. None of these people were tied to Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. But you decided to chuck all that shit out the window to do your nonsense that you can't even continue to do now. Dude, this reminds me of the two Star Trek idiots. It's like you have completely destroyed a beloved franchise, yet you're still walking around like you didn't do that. It's actually pretty amazing. How can you be this?
Really sad.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's also amazing and sad at the same damn time.
Because those are like really well like long time, well beloved franchises that they just really destroyed, and they don't really seem to care either. I think that's the sad part for me, at least. And I don't think they realize how big, or I think they know how big the fan bases are, but yet, they continue to run it into the ground.
I don't think she understood how the fan base worked because she was so focused on getting the younger audience. She doesn't because she wasn't really tied to Star Wars before George Lucas brought her into Lucasfilm. So she doesn't know that the original films, all those kids who grew up to be in their 50s and 60s now, the younger ones who got into the prequels, they were brought there by their parents, which are the ones who were kids when the original came out. So they didn't. It's not like these kids just fell in love with Star Wars on their own. They got brought in
Oh yeah.
from their yeah. And so then you go a little bit further, and now the grandparents are trying to get the grandkids into Star Wars, and you're telling them to piss off. So you're telling grandpa to piss off. I'm like, okay, well, he gets angry enough, but he doesn't. He may talk about the originals, but he doesn't talk about your new crap. So you don't get the new generation. That's how it works.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like they just don't see that. I mean, it's like everything else. They thought that they can just race change, sex change characters, and then the fan base of whatever that character was just going to, hey, look at this new thing. They're already hinting at a black James Bond already.
I thought they said they were not going to do it.
No, the original, like the ones who had controlling interest in the franchise, said that. Amazon don't care.
No, but Amazon already they already announced it. They promised that they were not gonna, there's no gender or anything changes. It's gonna be the regular.
Yeah, no. This is actually fairly recent of them hinting at some black dude.
Oh shit!
Right, so it's just like, and at the same time, to make it even funny, is that at the same time they just showed the new trailer for the new James Bond game where they're doing James Bond before he became a 007. So it's kind of like an origin story, but it's not Casino Royale. It's like another. So it's not the original origin story of James Bond, but it's like another one that will lead into a series of 007 games. Well, this is him becoming that. But he's a raw. Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. So he's young, and he's young and kind of raw kind of thing. But it's his introduction to the spy universe. You get Q, you get all that stuff. They have decided that Miss Moneypenny is just black now. And they're like dude. Whenever they race change one of these characters, that's what they are now. That is why on the new Superman cartoon that is on the W on Max, Jimmy Olsen is this weird looking. The character design is a white dude, but they made him brown. But he's a brown white dude. It's very weird. They drew him like a white kid, and instead of just making him redhead like he is, they just decided to make him brown.
Because reasons.
Yeah, basically because reasons. Like, all right, whatever. Lois Lane is Asian for some reason. It's like, yeah, and they've already brought in Supergirl, I think, and they decided, I guess 10 years ago, that somehow Supergirl is more powerful than Superman. I don't know how that works. Yeah, it's just their reasoning, I think, for it is Superman holds back because he's been on Earth longer, so he holds back, and Kara-El doesn't do that, so therefore she's somehow stronger, even though he's been absorbing sunlight for way longer. and he's bigger, so he has more skin to absorb sunlight in. He has bigger muscles. But there's no reason for her to be like stronger than him, but she just is.
Well, thank God they completely ignored that.
Dude, I don't know.
Convenient.
Bro, like if you go back and you look at Smallville when they introduced Supergirl to that, she's already flying, she's knocking them all over the place. Yeah, so yeah, that's probably around that time when they started introducing that. Like, I don't this bro, just I saw a quote from somebody who does games where they were saying that gaming is is big now, so therefore it is up to them to adjust society or something in the games. It's not just entertainment. And when I heard that, I'm like, yes, it is. That's why your shit is not selling, because people just want entertainment. They don't want to be preached to. Like nobody. So I don't know. So you guys excited? Are you excited about the various Star Wars things?
I mean, not really. I think it's still gonna be shit. So
Okay. Well, there is one more article. The lovely Kathleen. She says that, and I'll just show it to you. Kathleen Kennedy says Star Wars stories no longer need to connect to the originals, and this is basically just another way of saying what I was telling you before. Because you heard about the Mark Hamill he says he's done with being Luke Skywalker. Okay. All right. The statement echoes recent remarks by Mark Hamill, once iconic actor turned political activist. Yeah, people hate him now. I just don't see any reason to return. Let me put it that way. I mean, they have so many stories to tell. They don't need Luke anymore. Yes, they do. Because the story is, regardless of whether or not there are offshoots of Star Wars is about Luke Skywalker.
I mean, they don't. They already had that guy that came on the Mandalorian season 2.
Right, but he's talking about they don't need Luke no more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like yeah, they do. The Skywalker family is the spine of Star Wars. You can branch off into other stories, but the main like throughness of Star Wars is Luke Skywalker. It's about his dad, him, and then eventually like his progeny in the future. That's what it's all about.
It's like having the Legend of Zelda without Zelda.
Right. Or Harry Potter with no Harry Potter in it. Like people are fucking retarded, dude. So there you go. There's a Star Wars news. Ain't it happy joy, right?
Can't
All
wait.
Right. So our final story of the day is more I don't understand Disney. All right. Okay. Make sure you can see it. The original Blade Runner baffled that Marvel can't crack the film, given it's a relatively simple story. Yes. A dude who's hunts vampires and is a vampire. The end.
They also have cool club music.
Right. Was it some schmuck who was popping off about Ironheart was trying to call everybody racist because they didn't want because Disney is dumping Ironheart out all 6 episodes in 2 weeks. So he was like, well, you guys don't seem to understand that the only reason Marvel exists, like Marvel in movies exist, is because of this thing called Blade, and he was a black man. It's like, shut your 25-year-old ass up. Okay. It's like, dude, everyone knows this. The people you keep calling racist say this all the damn time. They cannot understand why you can't do a friggin' Blade movie. You keep saying that you want to push like diverse whatever. It's just a badass dude who kills vampires. That's it. You don't right. You don't have to talk about his mama. You don't have to talk about his daughter. Nobody wants to see any of that stuff that you keep trying to do. And the reason why they can't make this damn movie is because they keep trying to stick all that shit in the Blade movie. They tried that with Blade 3 and it didn't work because they were trying to use Blade 3 to launch that the sidekicks that was with him in that movie. They wanted to launch them into their own thing because they would, I guess they were tired of Wesley Snipes' ass. So they wanted to do that. No, I'm serious. That's why the movie looks like that. That's why they got that whole, instead of him being by himself, now he got this whole crew of misfits. Yeah, it was like a pilot episode inside of his movie.
I mean, I think Disney just doesn't like Wesley Snipes. Just have something against him.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with Blade though. It's like, so I guess he was okay. We were talking about Blade a couple years back. This is like the most plagued production. I don't know why they can't crack this. This is insane. I don't eat. And Goya says I don't either because in my mind I think Blade is a relatively simple story. It's not complicated. And I always think about when you embark on a movie like this, you have to distill down what is the premise of the movie, right? The premise of a new Blade is that it should have insane ass kicking. It should be pretty scary, might be R-rated, and doesn't have to be. It shouldn't be complicated. It should be simple, a simple story. So I don't know why it's been so hard. I have no idea why. I am baffled. Mahershala Ali is an amazing actor. He said, I don't know. Yeah. It's right. This person wrote and told that the current Blade script has roughly 90 pages and features exactly 2 lackluster action sequences. Mahershala said to be very frustrated the process. Feige said, yeah, said to be spread too thin, but hey, that's what sources are telling me. Don't shoot the messenger. I don't know. This movie should have been like 2 or 3 years ago. They should be working on a sequel right now. Seriously. They announced what? When did they announce this? This is before Captain Marvel, and it was still deep in the third phase or whatever of the MCU. So they even got to Endgame yet.
It's in production hell now.
Because they refuse to actually write what people want. Is Mahershala Ali walking around some like European city someplace stabbing the shit out of vampires.
Sign me up. That sounds cool.
Instead of having a techno backdrop, is hip hop, whatever. So it's like MOP yelling Annie up or something while he's kicking ass. Go get a friggin' fight coordinator from Hong Kong, and there you go. Have redo the first one. Shit.
Redo the first.
Seriously, yeah, they like remakes. Just remake the first one.
Yeah, for the new younger generation.
Yeah.
So it's not canceled. It's just no release date, or it's in production.
It's in limbo. I think
it
got put. It was pushed back.
Okay.
So around now, it's around the time of Black Panther 3, whatever the hell that's going to be about. Somehow Denzel Washington is going to be in it. I don't know what the hell he's going to be in it. So he's going to be Dormammu and some character in probably some African chieftain or something like that. I don't know. This is not a complicated thing, but somehow Marvel keeps making this stuff complicated. One of their best-selling comics is a comic featuring Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson married with 2 children. Yet they still have Mary Jane married to some random dude from another dimension and 2 mysterious children that popped up out of no place. And Peter Parker running around in limbo, even though clearly what your fans want is for him to be married to Mary Jane.
Hey, these decisions.
I don't know. From the next Spidey thing is gonna have supposedly Daredevil, the Punisher, and the Hulk in it. And this Mr. Negative is gonna do something to the Hulk that we may wind up with the Gray Hulk in it as well. So that should be cool. So imagine Spider-Man, the Punisher, and Daredevil fighting the Hulk through the streets of New York.
It does sound cool.
I don't know. Because what I'm describing, it sounds like what people want to see, and they haven't been really good at that lately.
Let's just do the exact opposite of what people want.
What the? Oh. Okay. StreamYard is tripping. Awesome. Just in time for us to go. All right. My signal went down to 0 again. I don't know what's going on with the. Anyway. So, what are you two about to get into?
Take a
Probably
nap.
taking gonna type up some things, then probably go to sleep.
Yeah,
Or
that
get
sounds
ready
like
to go to sleep.
that sounds like a plan. So, Ricky?
Yeah, basically take a nap right now.
Also, that sounds like a plan as well. All right, well, I'm going to go eat something, and that was a pretty fun discussion about stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to clip out, but I'll figure something out. So, on behalf of myself and my two compatriots, you didn't get this week. You didn't get to listen to me rambling on for about 50 minutes by myself. All right, so please like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below, all that fun stuff to anybody who watches this in the future. And we're out.
See ya.
Peace.